Now, my name is Edwin Kubai from Kenya within Nairobi County. Now, my topic today entails factors limiting the use of ICT in teaching and learning mathematics at secondary school level within Nairobi County. Now, in the introduction part of this research study, we looked at what is ICT and how ICT has been infused or introduced in the education sector. Now, the term ICT stands for Information Communication Technology, and actually, ICT encompasses or it refers to the storage, manipulation, retrieval, and dissemination of information electronically through the use of the internet. In Kenya, the penetration of ICT is still very low at 2% as compared to more developed countries where ICT is being used for the online learning, blended learning, and for the distance learning in the education sector. The Ministry of Science and Technology in Kenya introduced the use of ICT in 2011 by actually equipping some few schools across the country with ICT infrastructure to ensure that actually teachers can now be able to start using ICT in teaching and learning process. Now, studies were carried out by Ministry of Education in the year 2017 to establish out the magnitude or to what extent are teachers using the ICT. And specifically for mathematics, the study found out that only 9.8% of the mathematics teachers were using ICT in the teaching and learning process. Now, the purpose for this study is to find out what are some of the factors that are limiting the mathematics teachers from using ICT in their teaching and learning process. This study was guided by two research questions, and these research questions were in terms of teachers' methodology and also the terms of teachers' attitude. And the first question was, how does teachers' methodology limit the use of ICT in teaching mathematics? And secondly, how does the teacher's attitude limit the use of ICT in teaching mathematics? Now, when it comes to the significance, or when we look at what are the importance, why was this study carried out? The main purpose for this study is to help the stakeholders of education in formulating policies that will help in ICT integration in education. And secondly, it will help the stakeholders of education in terms of eliminating or reducing the ICT obstacles or challenges facing teachers in terms of using ICT at their school level. Now, the research methodology section, this study adopted a descriptive cross-sectional research design. And the study was conducted within Nairobi County in Kenya. Simple random sampling was used to select 42 mathematics teachers, while purposive sampling was used to select 10 heads of mathematics department from the sampled schools. The dependent variable for this study was the use of ICT in teaching mathematics, while the independent variable was factors that limit the use of ICT in teaching mathematics. When it came to the research instruments that were used for this study, we realized that we used two instruments. We have the mathematics teachers questionnaires were used to collect information from the mathematics teachers, and the structured interview schedule was used to collect information, that is the qualitative data from the head of mathematics department teachers. Now, the teachers' questionnaires was piloted in two schools that did not actually participate in the actual study, and the reliability coefficient was found to be 0.75, that actually made it realistic to be used for the main study. Now, the process of analysis of the data for this study involved data cleaning, data editing, and inspection of accuracy and consistency of the recorded information, so that actually what was said in the questionnaires or in the structured interview is what actually was captured for the data analysis and processing. Data was analyzed using a statistical package for social sciences, that is a computer software version 20. Qualitative data was transcribed coded and presented as emerging themes in the discussion section of this study. Analyzed data was presented in form of frequency tables, means, and actually percentages. Now, when it comes to the biodata of the participants, we have two categories of the participants in this study. That is the mathematics teachers and also the head of department for the mathematics teachers. Those are the teachers in charge of the department of mathematics. Now, 69.05% of the mathematics teachers were male, while 30.95% were female. When it comes to the head of departments, we have 30% were males and 70%, 30% were females and 70% were males. Now, when it comes to the attitude, look at how teachers feel about the use of ICT in teaching mathematics. We realize that 79.31% of the male teachers had negative attitude towards the use of ICT as compared to the counterpart at 66.54% who had negative attitude towards the use of ICT in teaching mathematics. And also when it comes to if the teachers can achieve their lesson objective when they implement or when they use the ICT in teaching mathematics, we realize that 19.05% of the teachers strongly disagree that they cannot achieve the lesson objective if they use the ICT. And 42.86% disagree that actually they cannot be able to achieve the lesson objective when they use the ICT. Only 14.29% of the teachers strongly agree that they actually achieve the lesson objective if they use the ICT in their lesson. Now, we looked at if the teachers can be able to access ICT infrastructure in their schools, and we realized that 40.5% of the sampled teachers disagree that actually they cannot access computers, laptops, or they cannot access the projectors or even the internet connectivity to be able to use these ICT devices. 11.9% also strongly disagreed, while 14.3 are undecided whether they can access or not, but 21.4% strongly disagree that they cannot be able to access the computers in their schools. Now, when we look at challenges facing mathematics teachers when using ICT resources, we realize that there are myriad challenges or several challenges that are facing teachers in schools when they are trying to use ICT. And some of these challenges are very, very pertinent in terms they're the ones that actually prevent most teachers from using ICT in schools. Now, lack of ICT resources was a major challenge. Lack of ICT resources stood at 42.86%. And we have negative attitude at 14.29%. Lack of administrative support was 21.4%. Lack of ICT policies at 7.14%. Lack of training, ICT training, the teachers don't have the skills, was at 14.29%. Now, when it comes to preparing an ICT integrated lesson plan, when the teachers need to prepare an ICT integrated lesson plan, we realize that close to 40% of the teachers, mathematics teachers who are sampled, disagree that they cannot be able to prepare an ICT integrated plan, ICT integrated lesson plan, and only close to 18% of them strongly agree that they can now be able to prepare an ICT integrated lesson plan. Now, before you go to the class for teaching mathematics, it is good to be able to, the teachers need to arrange or assemble the ICT infrastructure that they are going to use for the teaching and learning process. So you find out if the teachers are in a position to assemble the ICT infrastructure, because this is a major challenge to most of the teachers in terms of using ICT infrastructure or assembling the tools to be used for the teaching and learning process. We realize that 7.14% strongly disagree that actually they cannot be able to assemble ICT infrastructure, and 21.43% disagree, while 28.57% of them strongly agree they can assemble the ICT, that is the computer, the laptops, and they be able to do the connectivity to the internet and be able to present a lesson without any problem. The same 28.5% also agreed they can be able to do that. But 14.29% are undecided whether they can be able to arrange the ICT infrastructure for lesson presentation, or they are not in a position to be able to arrange that. Now, In action or in conclusion of this study, the study has established the following. We realize that 1. 57.14% of the mathematics teachers can comfortably assemble ICT tools for teaching mathematics, and 61.91% of mathematics cannot prepare an ICT integrated lesson plan. Hence, they find it difficult, especially for using ICT in their teaching and learning process. 79.31% of the male teachers and 66.54% of the female teachers actually have negative attitude towards the use of ICT. Most of them don't like the concept of using ICT in the teaching and learning process. Lack of ICT resources is still a major impediment to the use of ICT in teaching mathematics at 42.86%. Lack of administrative support stood at 21.43%, and lack of ICT training and ICT policies at 14.29% and 7.14% respectively. Now, the recommendation for this study is that the Ministry of Education to organize trainings and sensitization in all schools that involve all the teachers in terms of how to integrate ICT in the teaching and learning process. Then the government through the Ministry of Education to equip schools with the necessary ICT infrastructure to enable mathematics teachers to use ICT in teaching and learning process. Then also, there is a need to conduct more studies on the use of ICT in teaching other subjects apart from mathematics, and also in different parts of the country, because like this study was conducted in Nairobi County within Kenya. Now, that is the end of my presentation. If there is a question or a comment, you are free to ask or comment. Thank you very much for listening. Bye bye.